Welcome to another instructional video brought to you by Greenlight Consulting Services, where we put the go in your workflow.
In this instructional video, I will show you how to clone an existing Mac HD to a larger capacity drive or an SSD drive, which I recommend for better performance. A question came up on whether the procedure used on my first video can be used once the original drive is restored, aka cloned, to the new drive. The short answer is no, and I will demonstrate later in the video. Typically, I'd be able to test a new drive prior to installing it on your MacBook by choosing the drive under startup in recovery mode, but unfortunately I created this video in a VMware virtual environment, which the process of booting is different. But I will show you how to perform this prior to installing a new SSD in your MacBook. Okay, so let's get started. First off, I'm going to assume that you already attached your external drive for the cloning purposes. Now I'm going to launch Disk Utility, which is on my dock down here, but there's a couple of ways you can get to it. You can go to Finder, go to Utilities, or a short way is just to use Shift, Command, and U. Now after launching Disk Utility, you will see both your internal boot and external clone drive. So here's my internal boot and my external clone drive. The color coding icon is gray for internal and orange for external. They kind of look like that. Okay. Now, this view defaults to volumes only, but I want to see a little bit more than that, and I'll show you later why we want to do that. But we're going to go up here to View, and we're going to change this to Show All Devices. Now we actually see our disks and our controller. So in my case, this is I use for my external. Uses a J Micron controller, and this becomes very important later. Okay, two things I want to point out here. One, you can't clone a Mac hard drive while your source or your destination drive is in use. So being booted into this OS, I can't do it. I'm going to have to be in recovery mode because they have to be unmounted during the cloning or restore process. You get to this by rebooting your Mac and holding down Command R while you reboot. Second item, and this is critical, you need to prepare your partition type prior to cloning or you receive an error 5342. Now, if I highlight this right here, you can see that it's a USB external, but here is my partition type. Cannot be master boot record. You need to change that to what they call GPM or GUID partition map. If you don't do this, you can either do it now or you can do it later, but either way you need to do it. You can do it under recovery mode or you can do it now. So why don't we just get it out of the way? Now what you do here is you highlight the controller, or in your case it might be your drive, but it's probably going to be an external controller of some type. It may not be J Micron, it might be something else, but highlight that and then you want to go to Erase. And in Erase, I'm going to leave the name untitled for now, but you can always change that down the road. But you're going to change the scheme to GUID partition map. And you want to click then on Erase. Okay, once that's done, now we're ready to boot to recovery mode. Now I would recommend when you boot into recovery mode and you hold down Command and R, hold it down throughout the whole reboot process, the Apple screen, and until you see the recovery mode screen, just so you don't miss it and end up booting back into your OS. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and reboot, and then I'm going to pause the video here. This takes a little bit of time, so let me go ahead and do a restart. And I'm going to hold down my Command and R together. Okay, I'm back, and here we are. We're in the MacOS recovery mode, and we're going to go to the last item, which is disk utility here. And this brings up your disk utility. Now, you see this little image here. So we're actually booted off of a recovery partition here. And so what you want to do is you want to highlight your destination target, which is our external. And remember, that was the one that we changed to the using the GUID partition map in the prior part 1 of this video. And we're going to highlight this, and we're going to say restore. And we're going to say restore from, and this is your Mac OS volume 1, but this will pick up both volumes, so don't worry about doing each of these independently. This I'll show you here in a second here. But when I click restore here, it's going to unmount. It's going to make sure these are all unmounted, and it could do that because these aren't in use, because we're booted under this. So I'm going to click on restore. This might take a little time, so I may pause the video again. Let me show details. Let me see what's going on here. Now once again, I'm going to pause the video until this is complete, and then I'll be back. You can see that the restore process has completed. You can see that the volumes were automatically unmounted and mounted. And the one exception here is that the second volume didn't mount, but all you have to do is highlight it and then click mount. So let's click done to continue. Okay, so let's go to the unmounted volume right here, and all I have to do is click on mount. So here is an exact clone of your internal to your external. Now, in the first video, the procedure there to extend the drive, you can see you don't have to, because here's your free space. This is a 500 gig going from 500 gig solid state going from a 108 normal spinning drive, 108 gigs. Now the last thing I want to show you, and unfortunately I cannot demo it because it's a VMware environment, but if you want to test this thing before you pull the back cover off your MacBook and install your new drive, and you want to test to make sure it'll boot, you can change the startup, and you do that by going to the Apple icon here and clicking startup. And once again, remember your color code. So the orange is external and this is the internal. So if you want to boot from this drive and test it out, you just select this here and click restart. And then you can test it. Once that comes up, you're able to log in. Then you can shut that down. You can disconnect your external drive, and then you can take it out of its enclosure and you can go ahead and install it in your MacBook Pro. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please comment, subscribe, and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.